Okay, you know what I like? I like power cuts. Aren't they fun? Aren't they fun when you're doing a show, you're doing a countdown to start your next part, and it goes, bzzz, and you're there going, 5, 4... Shit. That's basically what happened to me. We'll go live in part 3 in a moment, but, god damn. We're live in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. Hello, welcome back to Newbie Monday Part 3! After a bit longer break than we wanted due to natural selection, we are back with the last bit of the Newbie Monday tech tree. We'll be going through TDs and artillery. In part 1 we went through all the general tanks that are good for everything. In part 2 we moved on from that to a few things that were a bit more specific to game styles, like the French tanks, assassination, and the slow but heavy tanks, things like that. And now we're going to progress into snipers and the press button, doom, pff, everyone dies artillery. Cool. Sounds good to me. Sound good to you? It sounds good to me. So let's go in a game. Yeah. So, first of all, let's go through what TDs are all about. If you have a look here at the TD lines, you have two choices over in the American tree. Now, they're a bit of special cases. They have a turreted line and a non-turreted line. Now, isn't that just greedy? That's just a bit greedy. You're not meant to have turrets on TDs. But that's basically the same thing. The turrets on the TDs are still played very similar to most TDs. They're still slow. The turret is rotating very slowly. It's still a huge advantage over normal TDs, don't get me wrong. But it's still played similarly. You don't have to turn your whole hull to turn around, but you still have to, you know, slowly predict where the enemies are coming from. It's nicer than having a fixed hull, but generally speaking, it has its drawbacks. The armor's less. And one of the TD's main strengths is its front armor and big gun. So cool. Let's have a look at the tanks. We have here, I've just figured out you can do that. The early TDs are great fun in the Americans. They have derp cannons, light armor, and generally speaking, they're really fun to play. So over here you have the Howitzer, tier 5 Howitzer, doing 410 damage! What? No, I knew that beforehand, but still, god damn, a tier 4 doing that much damage. What did I say about the ELC? 400 health? You can one-shot an ELC with this tier 4. So yeah, they're really good fun. The early American TDs can be played as aggressively as you like. It doesn't really need the same attacks as you need later on. But then you start getting to their mid-tiers, and these guys are actually reasonably quick. You've got the Hellcat and the Slugger here. They are really quick with turrets and allow you to move into position, use your turret and, I'll say reasonable armor. They are very lightly armored for TDs, but they're quite bouncy if they're in cover correctly. And they've got great guns. Slow firing, as I found out recently, slow firing guns, but they are still very, very good guns. Let's have a look at the Slugger's gun here. Rate of fire, 8.2. Penetration is 160 with 240 damage. That's good. That's pretty good. I like it. Now let's compare that to the Russian tree quickly. Go up to their tier 6, which is the SU-100. Known for its massive alpha damage. Oh, 390 damage with 175 penetration. What the OP? What the freaking? What the? Oh. No, okay. Let's calm down. Let's calm down. Calm down. I said calm down. Rate of fire is half. Accuracy, 0.43. Okay, so let's have a seat. 0.43? Okay. Americans, Slugger, where are you, boy? Where are you? Come on. Come on. Come on. Okay, whew. Double the rate of fire and, like, much better accuracy, okay? Cool. So it's not as OP as you first think. It's got great alpha damage. It sees you and it hits you, you take it and you feel it. But the other tanks, the American tanks, are generally known for doing a bit more consistent damage. DPS. Bang, 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 bang. If you miss that shot as the SU-100, and the same with the IS-3s and the IS series in general, if you miss that shot, or it ricochets, or does 0 damage penetration, you are screwed. They can just charge up to you and do the damage to you. So it has a massive weakness. It feels good. You don't have sound. Cool. Oh god, I thought someone didn't have sound. It feels like it's OP. It feels like it's OP, but it's not. There's so many weaknesses with that alpha damage. I actually explained this a lot in Tuesday night company battles. Everyone says, why not have loads of KV-1Ss? They're OP, right? They've got the big gun. And I was like, no, they've got no armor. They may be fast, but if they miss, they're dead. In my T50, I can school a KV-1S almost always, because if they miss that shot, which is quite reasonable if you're in a bloody T50, you can do a lot of damage in the meantime and run away again. You can do a lot of damage and run away. So it's got a lot of vulnerabilities doing that sort of thing. So yeah, the SU-100 is very nice, has very good alpha damage, but 2 different playstyles. Instead of 1, 2, 3, move, it's boom, move. You have to move. Then you have the French. Then you have the French. Now, the French early TDs aren't anything to shout home about. They have a decent gun, as you can see here. They have the 300 damage and 235. It's a bit in the middle. It's a bit in the middle of both tanks. You've got the French line is in the middle, I would say, out of the 2 American and Russian lines at this point. Okay front armor on the tanks, but generally speaking, not superb, but they're pretty decent. The thing to know about the French is that they can spin freaking fast. Right? Have you ever gone against one of these French TDs and you approach them in like a med tank and you go across to them and you go swinging to the side, think I'll get around the side of that TD and I can blow him up. He's in the middle of a field, the weakest point for a TD. And then he just spins and he keeps his front to you at all times. What? What? Extra phlegm? What? Crazy. They're absolutely crazy. Really good. I actually haven't figured out a way to face them one-on-one yet in a med. Because their tracks are really hard to hit from the front as well. And I keep trying to track them and get round, but I just run the fuck away at the moment. That's basically it. So let's have a look in the thing. As you go up the further end of them, they get silly. They have massive alpha damage and or reloaders, and it's really powerful stuff. They don't have the turrets, so they do have their weaknesses. They still got to sit down and wait, and that's the thing about TDs. Before I go into the German line, the TDs have to predict the motions and movements of the team. So a good TD player is a player that sees that the enemy are pushing through one way and moves to get in a position where he can support his team. A bad TD player, and you see these a lot, thinking they're great, and they're what I call a VOOB, and I'll explain what a VOOB is in a minute, but they think they're good, right? They think they're good, and they'll sit there, they think, I'm good, because I'm guarding this pass that no one's coming down, but if they were coming down, I'm guarding it. I'm good. No, a good TD player reacts to his team. The enemy team pushes and moves into a good position, reads the positions of the enemy team and the friendly teams and get into a position where they can support. That's a good TD player. And that's what the hardest skill to learn with a TD player is. Once you've learned that, you are a superb TD player and you will do a lot. That sort of skill helps you with any tank, but especially TDs. Especially TDs. So let's go back into the game and have a look at the German line. The German line are the snipers again. You have things like the Marder 2 and Panzer 1 at the... Sorry, Panzer... Yeah, that one. Panzerjäger 1. They are ones that hide in the bush and pew, 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 pew. Really rapid fire, high penetration shots. Same with the Stug. Let's have a look at the gun compared to... Or actually, let's have a look at the gun compared to the others. High rate of fire, really high. Reasonable penetration and reasonable damage. Nowhere near the 4 of the SU, the 4 rate of fire of the SU, but nowhere near the same damage or penetration. So you've got to be careful with that. It does mean you are exposed for longer if you want to get that DPS out. You have to sit there, bang, bang, bang. But the Germans do have one good thing for them: the armor. it's pretty good. The armor for the German ones are okay for their tier. It's sloped, generally speaking, and it's hard to penetrate them from the front. It's not impossible. I'm not saying that it's super impossible, but if the Germans are doing their job and staying at a really long distance, you can actually do that just fine. You can sit at a long distance and keep shooting, and eventually you'll win. You'll do the damage. Remember, shells, this is Newbie Monday after all, shells lose penetration the further they go. So if you have to shoot at TD 500 meters away, you lose a lot of penetration. So that front armor does a lot better at that distance. Something to know. Awesome. As you go up, they get really big, and they actually rotate pretty damn cool. Until you get the Jagdpanzer E100. If you really want to go down this route, have a look at that. 1,050 damage. Rate of fire, 2.33. Yeah. That's pretty damn cool, right? That one shots a lot of things if you get the penetrating hit. So that's something you can definitely work towards. So that's the thing about the TDs. There are a lot of different types. No matter which route you go down, they are played in different ways and different styles. But the general rule is the same thing. You need to predict the motions of the enemy team, move in position, and do your job, do the damage. Stay at a distance because your armor's not as good as the tanks necessarily unless you're in the bloody T95. I won't go through the top tanks necessarily because you guys, the whole point of Newbie Monday is that you guys aren't that far yet. Let's go through artillery. So artillery is a unique beast in World of Tanks. You sit down at your furthest point in the map, behind all your teammates, you press shift, you get into an overview map looking down. And you look around the map for targets to shoot, and left click and see them explode. The trouble with artillery is that there's a lot of random element. The shots are, generally speaking, very inaccurate. So there is a lot of frustration when you're playing as artillery that you click and the shot goes wide. Even though you waited for 100% aim, you've got all the upgrades, and the guy's in the open, he's sitting still, you've 100% aim, you left click and it goes miles away. That is infuriating. So if you don't like Lady Luck, artillery might not be for you. You might be raging a lot more than you're satisfied. And artillery is very scary to go against if you've never played artillery. So I always recommend you play at least a couple of tiers of artillery just to understand the weaknesses artillery have. They're not as OP as you think. In 7v7 ESL and the tournaments, you actually don't see artillery that often. It's actually quite a risky choice to have an artillery in your team because they have to be used in that way. As soon as an enemy's through the lines, they're generally speaking done for. And if they can't get the right angles, or if Lady Luck is not with them, you might have wasted 8 tier points. So that's not good. Yeah. Really? Only your left ear likes it? Ha. Guys, we're almost through the episode. But can you only hear me through one ear? Oh dear. That's a bit silly. Why did that work beforehand? Oh dear. Well, yeah, only one person. Ah. Right. Well, I think that explains that. Do you guys want me to reconnect to fix that? Or do you want me just to keep going and finish the show? We're near the end anyway. No, it's the settings. I have a very complicated audio setup. I'll show you. Ready? Ready? Ooh. It's a proper mic. Yeah. Okay, just go. Okay, cool. We'll just finish. We'll finish up. Sorry about that. I'll definitely check in future. The power cut must have messed something up. I really apologise for that, but we'll just finish off. We've only got artillery to go. Okay, so artillery, you've got that Lady Luck element. So it's often a big risk for people, a big risk for people because of that. Okay, it's a big risk because if you are missing a lot, no fault of your own, then you've lost that 8 tier points. But if you hit a lot, they can do stupid amount of damage. So it is that a bit of World of Tanks that is less skill-based, although there's still a lot of skill to do with artillery. For example, if you're on a rocky ground, your shot could become elongated, and that means your shot's coming in high but wide. So if you aim for the tall part of the tank, you actually have a higher chance of hitting. If it's a circular, perfect circle, then you're coming down directly upon them. So if they're directly behind cover, there's a good chance you can hit them still, even though they're behind low rocks. So the little things to know when you're playing artillery and how the auto-aimer works and adjusts your aim, there's a lot of little details to make you an excellent artillery player. But for one, I used to be an artillery player and I couldn't continue because of that random lady luck element. It's a bit too random for me. I prefer things like TDs or meds and heavies that you feel like you've got a bit more control about where your shot goes. So that's basically artillery for you. Yeah. Cool. Right, well that's basically what I wanted to say. So yeah, we're at the end, and I'm sorry about the audio, but I'll reconnect in a second and we can chill out for a minute or two and work on a few things. So yeah, is there any questions you guys want to ask about the tech tree before I go? So I'm going to open up to the floor for some questions before we go. Go on, chat. Ask away. Oh no, not prepared for questions. I'm asking you guys a question. Where do babies come from? Well, when a man and a woman feel like they want to bring a new soul into the world, they phone up a stork and order one, and it flies in 9 months later and lands on the roof, and it drops it down the chimney. The IS-4. The IS-4 is a good tank still. The trouble with it is the slowness of it. It's too slow to be as effective as things like the IS-7. The IS-7 use a lot more because of its speed. In higher tier play, you'll find that the speed of vehicle is very important. You have to react to the enemy movements a lot. So, yeah, the IS-7 is taken purely because of the speed. In pub plays, and if you're good at predicting movements, the IS-4 is still solid. I actually have some good results with that, although I'm still reasonably new to tier 10. I often play the mid tiers because I play with you guys, and you guys haven't got the upper tiers. So yeah, I still like my IS-4. It's still good. British tanks. The British tanks are awesome. Some of them, right? The British tanks, even in real life, were hit and miss. Some of them were freaking amazing. Some of them were pretty shit. And that's the same with World of Tanks. Some of them look really good, like the Tier 8 heavies and all the med tanks look fantastic. So I really recommend, if you are at where you want in your current tech trees, go for the British. They're going to be good. I'm going to go for the med line myself, but considering going for the Tier 8 heavy as well. I don't want to go for the Tier 10 heavy. It doesn't look so good for me from what I've seen when we broadcasted the test server. Don't like the look of it, but it's cool if you like that sort of thing. So yeah, that's the British. KV4 is a hard barge to play. I prefer the KV5 over the KV4, but it's got a good gun. It's just very slow. If the KV4 infuriates you, the IS-4 might infuriate you too, because it's a little bit faster, but not that much faster. But it has a much lower profile, so it's not as vulnerable as the KV4. And any more? I can't believe that. With a Hetzer, all you have to do is aim for the turret on the B1, and you blow it up in 2 shots every time. Cool. Any more questions? And if not, we will sign off for today, and we'll be back for tomorrow's tank company battles. And hopefully when we convert this video, we won't just have left audio. Damn power cuts. Cool. Right. All right. Well, I've been Dorjan of RivetingTV. Highflyer's been away, unfortunately, but he'll be back on Thursday. And I'll see you tomorrow, or in a minute if you stick around for the after party. Yeah. All right, guys. I'm going to disconnect and reconnect with better audio settings. Yeah. See you in a bit. Bye-bye.